Welcome to Fine Natural Hair and Faith. In today's video, we are going to be talking about strengthening fine hair. This is the second video in the series, Fine Hair Doing It Better. So why strength treatments? Well, first of all, fine hair structure is different from other hair types. I'm not going to go into depth about the structure of hair. I will make that information available later on in the video series. However, just know that because we are lacking an inner layer called the medulla, our hair strands are smaller in circumference, making them more prone to breakage. So because our hair is more prone to breakage, we need to do things to fortify our strands, to strengthen them. And to do that, it starts with protein. Hear me out, because I know some people will say, I'm protein sensitive. Just know that hair is made up of 90% protein. So to say you're protein sensitive is like saying I'm allergic to blood. That's like most of your body. But let me say this, there are variables. And I don't think that a lot of people know how to properly use protein, or they are using it when they don't need it, or they're using the wrong type of protein. For those of us with fine hair, protein is a friend. It is something we should get in regular doses at specific intervals of time. There are certain signs to look for to determine if your hair needs a protein treatment. 1, your hair is becoming more porous. 2, you find your hair is tangling a lot and it's just not looking as good or feeling as good as it normally does. And 3, your fine strands are breaking. And by breaking, I mean excess breaking, because let's face it, there's always going to be some amount of breakage. It's just normal. When you have excess breakage, that's when you know it's time for a protein treatment. Some would advise that if you have low porosity hair, you should steer clear of protein. While that may be the case in those with thicker strands, for those of us with finer strands, we still need protein regardless of our porosity levels. It is very easy for our hair to be damaged, even with normal wear and tear, which happens at an accelerated rate because the hair is so fine. So protein is something that we can use to fortify our hair. But if you're still not convinced that your hair needs protein, you do have another option for strengthening, and that is using herbs that strengthen your hair. 5 of the herbs that I would recommend are henna, fenugreek, amla, cassia, and brahmi. These herbs can be used to create a DIY hair mask, or you could even just add 1 to 2 tablespoons into a deep conditioner that does not contain protein. And this will also help to fortify your hair. I've been doing this for many years. I like to alternate my regular protein treatments with DIY hair masks, and I find that the results are nothing short of great. So let's talk about some tips for how to apply your treatment, your strengthening treatments, be it protein or an herbal hair mask. You want to always apply to freshly washed hair. Also, if you use a strengthening treatment by, someone who manufactured it, follow the directions. Don't do your own thing. Typically, if you're doing a DIY mask, there are some things you could do a little bit differently, but you always want to follow a manufacturer's instructions. Secondly, you want to apply it to freshly washed, damp hair. Any product you apply to your hair, you don't want it to be soaking wet because you don't want the water to dilute the product. Another thing to note is when you're applying a protein treatment, you want to be very careful not to agitate your strands, because you want the protein to bond to your hair, but you don't want to cause breakage in the process. If you're applying a heavy-duty treatment such as Apogee, that is a special treatment for hair that is extremely breaking. That is not a maintenance protein. There are other types of protein that you could use that are for maintenance and that actually leave your hair feeling very silky, very soft, such as silk protein. That is an excellent protein for fine hair so that your hair doesn't feel rough as well. Also, you want to make sure that you follow your protein treatments and your strengthening treatments with a deep conditioning treatment. or a conditioner for moisturizing, because there's a balance that needs to take place. So you add some strength into your hair, but then you need to balance that strength with moisture, and that can only be done with a moisturizing conditioner. So for today, I am doing a strengthening treatment using a DIY product, which is a goat's milk conditioning mask. On another day, I might use a product that I purchased. It really just depends on what I'm feeling like, if I want to give my hair a little bit of extra time and attention. To apply the protein, I'm working in sections just the same way as when I was washing my hair. So I'm starting from the front, and the reason I start from the front is because when you're putting products in your hair, when it's time to rinse it out, you want to rinse the section that you did first, because that section has had the product in the longest. And when you're rinsing from front to back. So any product that is in your hair is being rinsed out into the next section. And then that section is rinsed out into the next section. If you start from the back and you start rinsing, then when it's time to rinse the front, it's going to then apply product to the section you've already rinsed. My products, I simply add some to my fingers using my gloves, and I work first at the top. Some will say that you should start at the bottom, and that is not wrong, but I like to apply at the top because when I'm using a DIY hair mask, there are nutrients that are in the mask that actually work well for the scalp, and I really want to make sure that I get this product onto my scalp as well. Now focusing on my ends, I apply product and then work it up the hair strand. You want to make sure that your hair is completely covered in product because you want even distribution for strengthening. Once I finish applying the products to my hair, I am now going to wrap it back up in that bantu knot. And when I'm done, I will put on a plastic cap and then a heat source. Whenever you use a strengthening treatment, unless it's Apogee, like I mentioned before, because theirs is different, you're literally letting it dry hard and rinsing it out. But for regular strength treatments, protein treatments, DIY hair masks, you want to make sure you add a heat source. So a heating cap sitting under a hooded dryer with a plastic cap on. This does not cause damage to the hair. In fact, it helps the protein to bond to the hair, filling in those gaps along the hair shaft. Even though it's temporary, it's helping to fortify your strands. And notice I always hold the ends while applying product so as not to disturb the hair and cause tangles. I'm going to finish applying my strength treatment to the rest of my hair, and I'll be back with final thoughts. So now that I finished applying my strengthening treatment to my hair, my DIY protein mask, I'm going to follow it up using a hot head, which is my heat source. I will pop this in the microwave for 90 seconds, 30 and 60, turning it inside out, and then I'll put it on my hair. And you want to at least leave your strengthening treatments on for at least 30 minutes. So that is all for this video. If this was your first video in the series, please make sure you check the description box down below, because there is a free workbook to help you work through all of the videos in the series, take notes, and sort of guide you along the way of developing your fine hair routine. Thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next video in the series where we will talk about detangling fine hair better.